we are going to cover mainly kernel upgrade and Fiori concepts. Okay, so kernel upgrade is a very important topic for you. So we will try to do one kernel upgrade. So, and we will try to bring up the system. I mean, if it comes up, that's well and good. If not, then the procedure is same. We will revert the change so that you will know if kernel upgrade fails, what you have to do also. So kernel upgrade we do, and then we discuss about Fiori concepts. Okay, so let's start with the agenda. As I said, kernel upgrade and Fiori concepts and how you do the configuration of this Fiori. Okay, so this is also a very important topic, which is recently many customers, or I mean, obviously SAP is promoting this Fiori. So I will tell you when we are discussing about Fiori, why SAP is promoting a lot of Fiori thing and what are the reasons. Yeah, and what, as a basis guy, what all configurations you have to do in this system, when you build the system. Okay, so let's start with the kernel patch. So what is kernel? Can someone explain? What is kernel? So, I mean, we have heard this term many times when we are doing these, I mean, in our previous sessions also, I've shown you, exe directory. So what is kernel? Just, I mean, correct or wrong, it doesn't matter. Just whatever you understand by kernel.
It is a program which we use, which is useful to utilize hardware of machine.
Okay, fine. That's all right. So yes, in a way, you are right. So kernel is nothing but the executables. Okay, like we see in SAP system, right? EXEs, right? Not in SAP system. You see this Windows machine. Whenever you are downloading some software or application, it will download as an executable .exe format. Okay, so it is nothing but the executables which are needed at operating system level to ensure that the application works up and running. Okay, I mean SAP application. So kernel, in some simple terms, it is the executables which we use. So by applying a kernel patch, so you update the runtime environment of your SAP system on the operating system level. Okay, as I said, the executable needed to run the applications. So you can retrieve the kernel patches from Service Marketplace for your release and platform. This is important. For example, if you are using a kernel 7 I will show you how to check the kernel. So you have to go to the Service Marketplace and you have to download the new kernel patches whenever there is a latest version available. As I always say, go with the N-1 version. Okay, if your 753 patch 800 is the latest, then you go with the 799 patch level. Okay, so it is best practice to back up the kernel directory before applying a patch so that an easy rollback is possible. So as I always say, whenever you do something, it is always good to have a backup. So if you are working on a database, take a database backup. If you are working on just a kernel directory, take the backup of the kernel directory. So in case if the kernel patch fails, or after that if the system is not coming up, what you can do is you can simply rename the old directory and then start the system. Okay, that is the easy way of rolling it back. So what you can do is, then you can raise a ticket to the SAP product support. Hey, I'm trying to update so and so kernel. However, this has failed. I had to roll back. So then you can get this suggestion from this SAP product support. Okay, we will see how to roll back also. So the rolling kernel switch imports a new SAP kernel while the system is running. Yeah, this is an important thing, but most of the customers we don't recommend this. Okay, what it means? So kernel upgrade. Okay, so do you need a what do you call? Can you do it on online, or do you need a downtime? Okay, so kernel upgrade, whenever you are switching the kernel or upgrading the kernel, it is, there is no other way. So you have to stop the application. You have to stop the system first, because you are touching the runtime environment of the application, right? The executables, what are needed, are the binaries, what are needed to run the SAP system. So which means it is mandatory to stop the system. Okay. So this rolling kernel switch, I will tell you what it is. So here also we stop the system. But here we don't stop the entire system. Okay. So rolling kernel switch means, for example, you have one central instance and then you have application instances 1, 2, 3, 4 AIs, dialog extra application servers. What you can do is you can do server by server. Okay, so you can stop the AI application instance 10 so that remaining 9 applications will be up and running. So there is no end user impact. So first you do the 10th server, then 9th, then 8th, 7th. So like that, server by server, you can do the kernel upgrade, but you have to stop that particular application server because it's an executable. That is the rolling kernel switch. Okay, so end user perspective, there is no downtime, but but for on that particular application server, definitely you stop the application and then you switch the new kernel. Yeah, then only it will pick the new executables and new binaries. Okay. Yeah. So this is what it means. Operation of the system is not interrupted because even though you take down one application server, remaining application servers are up and running. So the downtime is significantly reduced. Entire system stopping and doing the kernel upgrade may take 1 or 2 hours. But in this case, it is hardly some 10 to 15 minutes because the 10 to 15 minutes also on CI, because on central instances, you have message server and then NQ server, right? So if you take down the CI, then your entire system is down. So there is no other way. That is what you mean. So it says it reduces the downtime significantly, but it doesn't say that, completely online. So what it means is first you stop the entire system, you do it on CI, central instance, okay? Then bring up the system, okay? Which means it takes some 10 to 15 minutes. After that, you do a rolling kernel patch, which means take down one application and do the kernel patching. Like that, one by one, you can do it because more or less the end users will be accessing the system. You will be doing server by server. But CI, definitely you have to take down the entire system, okay? So the rolling kernels is some system minimum requirements. Yes, it does need some minimum requirements, but you don't do this rolling kernel switch. So many customers do not use it because it needs a high level of expertise and controlled way of doing it. So if any mistake or anything done by the consultant, it leads to an entire system inconsistencies. So nobody will take that risk unless if the customer has some 20 to 30 application servers and then he is using that only one particular system. Okay. So for now, just keep this rolling kernel switch as a theoretical purpose. But the overall concept of the kernel switch or the kernel upgrade is you have to stop the system and then switch the kernel and then bring up the system. That is the basic process. Okay. So what are the methods to update the kernel? Okay. So number one, perform a manual update for SAP systems based only on the AIS application server ABAP. Okay. Number two, use SUM tool to update the kernel of any SAP system. So as I said, yesterday we discussed SUM tool, Software Update Manager. Okay. It's a very powerful tool. So that is mainly used for the upgrade of the system. Okay. And then spam and site update also you can do from there. And you can do the entire SP level upgrade or release level upgrade. So whenever there is an upgrade involved, so your first go for a tool is SUM tool. Okay. So please try to remember that part only. There are other manual ways of doing. If you take Java, there is a telnet option. If you take ABAP, you can import the individual software components using Saint or spam. But I would not recommend, or many basis expertise definitely would not recommend that. Okay, because of the inconsistencies, or sometimes the steps are not so things. So if you may forget to take a backup, or you may forget to check certain things. If it is a SUM tool, even though it takes 1 or 2 hours, overall 1 or 2 hours, it's not a downtime of 1 or 2 hours. As I told you, there is a pre-processing phase which will run uptime. So you can peacefully run the tool and do the, slowly you do the pre-processing. So once your pre-processing is 100% completed, then you can go with the downtime. Downtime will complete for sure. And moreover, it does ask you to some checks. Have you checked the parameters? Have you checked the backup? So such kind of things are very important. So that is why always go with the SUM tool. Okay. Whenever you are doing SP patching or any patching, any upgrade, So just keep in mind that SUM is your first go whenever there is an upgrade. Okay. The other one is here we are talking about kernel upgrade. So kernel upgrade also you can use SUM, but since this kernel upgrade is such a simple activity, so SUM you don't need to go with the SUM. Yeah, it's so simple that and moreover it's an operating system level activity. It's just that you download the files and copy the files to a kernel directory. That's it. So for that you don't need to do the you don't need to go with the SUM kernel upgrade, but however, you can do the same with the SUM. Okay. Let us say if you are doing an upgrade, right? So during the upgrade, I told you, you need to know your database versions and then the kernel versions also. If there is a kernel dependency, okay, during the upgrade, so the SUM tool will not, in the stack XML, when you generated, it will download the kernel files also, if there is a dependency on the latest kernel. Okay. So then SUM tool will automatically take the kernel upgrade over there. That is why it's a very intuitive and very beautiful tool when you are doing an upgrades. Okay. Whatever the dependencies, because if you do it via spam or saint, you have to know manually that, okay, there is a kernel upgrade needed or not. You have to check a lot of things. It's a very painful task. So the best is upgrades, do the SUM, and that only take care of your kernel upgrade also. Okay. But if you are doing just a kernel upgrade, then you don't need to go with the SUM tool. You can do manually. We will do it manually, simple way. Okay. So these are the two ways where you can approach the kernel upgrade. Okay. So what are the steps? Manual kernel patch applications. So you can manually apply kernel patch to your SAP systems based on, ABAP. So steps to apply a kernel patch manually. Number one, as I said, you stop the system. Okay. And you stop the entire services. When I say stop the system, you stop everything. Okay. That we do. And back up the current kernel. So whatever you have the executable directory, CDEXE directory, you take the complete backup. So, and then you replace the kernel. So you get the new files and then place it in the kernel exe directory. So then you restart the system. If the system is not coming up, what you have to do? Simple. You have taken a backup of the kernel, you again rename it and you put it back the new old files. That's it. Then you bring up the system, which means your activity has been failed and then you reverted the change. Okay. Yes. So when we discuss this one, because in the last 8 or 9 days, we have not discussed this term, remediation plan. Have you heard of this word, remediation plan? Can anybody explain me what is the remediation plan? So this term is very, very important for the basis guys. Can anybody, whatever it comes to your mind, remediation plan? Okay.
I don't know, but it may be something about when something problem occurs, then what we have to do, that plan.
Exactly. So basis guys, for every activity you perform, every activity, I told you, each and every activity, whatever the basis executes, it will lead to a system, forget about inconsistencies, it will lead to system crashes and system won't bring up. It leads to a complete downtime, most of the basis activities. Okay. So keep this in mind. So which means every planned activity, okay, I told you, so let's take this kernel upgrade activity. Okay. It needs a system downtime. So you reach out to your change management team asking for a downtime. Hey, I want to do a kernel patching. I need a 1 hour of downtime. Okay, fine. They will ask you the implementation plan. Okay, what is your implementation plan? Perfect. You give the implementation plan. You tell them that I'm going to download so-and-so files from the service marketplace and I will stop the system. And after that, I will take a backup of the existing kernel and I will replace the kernel and I will restart the system. Okay. So the change management's next question is, what is your remediation plan? So what is if your activity fails, how do you bring up the system? Okay. So then there is a section, when each change has a section, remediation plan. Unless you fill that remediation plan, change management will not approve your request. or will not, no matter whoever it is. It's an SME, architect, or whoever is requesting the downtime. Obviously, your SME or your architect or TLO, technical landscape owners, will be requesting these downtimes. So change management or the change approval board will not approve any change until there is a cleanly defined remediation plan. So in this case, the remediation plan is you have a backup of the old kernel. If the system doesn't come up, so your remediation plan is replace the kernel with old files and then bring up the system. Simple. Then you will quote it as the activity has been failed and we are following up with the SAP or you are troubleshooting. That's it. Your activity has been, that's it. So any activity, there should be a remediation plan. Let's say yesterday we were discussing about upgrade. Okay. What is the remediation plan for your upgrade? Let's say you are in a downtime. I mean, the SUM tool has taken the system to a downtime, but however, the downtime is not ended with errors. Okay, a lot of errors, and you don't know how to fix them. But you are crossing the downtime window because in a 10 hours or 20 hours, you have to bring up the system, or else the business starts logging it. So your approved window is only 10 hours, but you are not able to fix that issue in the 10 hours. Okay, so what is the remediation plan over there? Can someone tell me? So your upgrade activity has been failed and you need to bring up the system. What is your remediation plan over there during an upgrade?
DB restore or file system restore?
Sorry, can somebody explain?
Restoring the file system and DB.
Yes. So that is why yesterday when I was showing the SUM diagram, so before you enter to the downtime, SUM tool is asking you to take a backup. Okay. Have you taken the backup or not? A confirmation check. So definitely you should have a backup. Okay. Mainly before you starting the tool, and in between also there may be a couple of backups you may have to take, but it will ask you definitely you take a backup before you can do your downtime. So your remediation plan would be, so tell that my activity has been failed, system is not coming up. So end user may get impacted. Immediately I have to bring up the system. Then you trigger a restore from your backup which you have taken, bring up the system and release the systems to the end user. But before you do that, collect all the logs and keep it in some drive or somewhere so that for your further troubleshooting, you can help. Then do the root cause analysis, why it has been failed. Because root cause analysis, I told you, may take 1 week to sometimes 6 months also. Okay, so you work with your technical experts or developers if it is related to the objects and the SAP product support if needed. Okay, that is how each and every activity should have a remediation plan. That is why I say, whatever you do, sometimes before you change anything, suppose if you are changing the profile values, right? Profile parameters, you take the backup of profile parameters. Okay, take a backup, not a profile, take a backup of the profile, any activity. So you always have in mind that prepare for the worst case scenario. That is the most important. Okay. In the worst case scenario, what I have to do? Because at the end of the day, the whole objective is to bring up the system. Okay. So once your upgrade is in middle and it fails, then you should not go and tell to the business that I don't have a backup. That's it. Gone case. I mean, it's a very, very serious thing. I mean, you should not simply go with an overconfidence that, hey, this has been executed in my test system. I am expecting 100% sure that this will complete. No, I've seen cases. Believe me, I've seen cases where people were just, just for 1 hour. So backup takes sometimes 1 hour to 2 hours. I mean, before you go to the downtime. So they were like, hey, next 1 hour, 2 hour. So the upgrade itself completed. Why to take it? Anyway, I have a 2 days old backup. 2 days old backup, what do you do with that 2 days of data? Yes, there is another option to copy the logs and all. Why such a pain is needed? I mean, when you have a nice option, you trigger backup and go for a coffee and come back and you are saved. But people went with overconfidence and then they will mess the system. And then we had to restore the system to a 2 days old and then apply the logs. It's a too much tedious job. But at the end of the day, who has to work on that restore recovery? It's the basis guy, the same guy who is executing the upgrade. But it is another pain for the other SMEs and technical people. But it will be pointed out that hey, definitely it's due to overconfidence and it's a resources negligence. Yeah? So don't do that. So even though it takes time, have patience in basis. So try to take the backups. Remediation plan is the word for every activity you do. There should be a remediation plan. And before importing transports also, there should be a remediation plan. So either the developer has to give you, or you have to have you in your mind that I told you, have a backup. Okay. Same is the case with note implementation. So before you are implementing the notes, as I always say, ensure that you have a latest backup in the system. I mean, not for every activity I ask you to go and take the backup, but upgrade definitely you need it. But there's note implementations, transport imports. But what you have to do, at least go to the DB13 and check your last backup or yesterday's backup or daily backup has been completed or not. That is important. So sometimes what happens is from last 2 days, the backup is failing, but you proceed with the activity. So you don't have a backup to restore. A latest backup you won't be having. Okay. So at least have a check. Okay. Whether do I have my latest backup or not in the system. So this is about the remediation plan. I mean, what you do in case if the activity fails. Okay. So explaining this. So first thing, okay. So let's go to the system and see what is your, let's do a quick kernel upgrade. Okay. So let's log into our EH8 system. Where is EH8 system? Now the first activity is, what is the first activity? Is to download the kernel. Okay. So est user 1. So system status. Okay. So as I said, just click on the next button here at the bottom. Okay. So currently we are with the 753 kernel release. The patch level is 801. Okay. And it is on the database AAC. So why we need the database? So when we are downloading the kernel, so there are 2 files. Okay. So has anyone performed kernel upgrade in your projects? Yes or no? Or nobody has done this kernel upgrade?
Not yet.
So, okay. If you are not yet done, so there are 2 kernel files which you have to download from the service marketplace. One is the DB independent file. Those who have done it would have noticed it. One is database independent kernel files. Okay, which means for every database, that file is separate, but you need to know your operating system also this. Okay, so that is why when you are downloading the kernel file from service marketplace, you have to input what is your operating system, Linux, and what is your database, Sybase. Okay, so what it will do is it will show you 2 SAR files, SAR. SAR are the archive files format for any file which you download from the SAP. So 2 files it will show you. One is the DB dependent, which means which is applicable only for the Sybase, and another one is the DB independent. That is why you need to know this screen. You have to come to the screen status. Okay, you check your operating system version. Version is not needed. Operating system and which database it is running. Okay, good. Now you know you are running on a Linux and you have a database of Sybase. So what I did, I just went ahead to the service marketplace and downloaded those 2 files. Now let's see. So I downloaded and I have placed them in the downloads directory. So where is this one? Kernel directory I placed. Okay. You see here, can you see my screen, guys? Okay. So here, yeah. So here, whenever there is a DB, so can you see the word in the second file? It's a DB and it's a small size. That's expected. So this is a DB dependent. That is why you need to know Sybase. So there, as soon as you give the Sybase, so you have an option to download this exe file, where the word DB means it's a DB dependent kernel. And there is another file, DB independent. It just says exe. So this is an 832 kernel patch version. Okay. So for whenever you are doing kernel patch or kernel upgrade, so 2 files you have to download. One is DB dependent. I mean, based on your database, if it is Sybase, you select the option Sybase over there, then it will give you the file. And if it is HANA, select HANA. If it is DB2, you select DB2. You get one DB dependent, database dependent file, and then one database independent file. So you have to get these 2 files. So now let's take these files to the server. Okay. So before we copy to the server, so what I'm going to do now is, so let's check where we are. Okay. I'm in the USR SAP EH8 system. Okay. And then I'm at the SID ADM ID.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
Fine. So let's do a clear. So PWD, I'm in this directory. So what I will do, I have to copy those files to the server, mkdir, and so, or let's do one thing. We will try to document it. So first, number one, the steps which we are doing. Download the kernels from the service marketplace. So what have we downloaded? DB dependent, and DB independent files. So now copy it to the, I will edit the grammar later, copy it to the server. So in the server, what you do now, first thing is where you want to copy new_kernel. Let me create a directory new_kernel. Okay. So CD new_kernel. Okay. PWD. So this is my present working directory. So let's say that you have created this directory. So let's do this. You created this. Now we will copy it to it. I told you there is a WinSCP yesterday. We go to this directory and we get these files. So let's do one thing. Or let me close and open it so that you see. Then yes. So let me do the again WinSCP so that you know from the beginning. So WinSCP is nothing but from your local laptop to yes, perfect. So you are connecting to this one. Let me give a login. So password. So yes, it's connected. So let's do see downloads now. So let me go to the downloads. Yes. So kernel directory. So I want to copy these two files. I want to copy to where EH8. So here you see it mapped automatically on the server. New kernel. So I want to copy to the USR SAP EH8 new kernel. So what you do, just drag and drop. Okay, it's copying. So it will be pretty quick. Don't worry. Even though it is a 36 MB per second, it's a very good speed. Okay, it has been copied. Even though 350 MB, within seconds it's completed. So yeah, so both the files have been copied to the server. Now let's go to the server. Let's check if the files are available over there. Yes, they are available and they are with the EH8 ADM. But better to you give the complete authorization. chmod -r 777 and then start in the directory. In the directory, that's why I've given, or else you give the specific name. So you have got the full permissions over here. Okay. So now what you do, let's the next task. So these are the SAR files, right? So you have to uncar them. Okay. So I mean, in the same directory, you just uncar them. Okay. Later we can delete these SAR files. That's all right. So what happened? What is the command to do that? SAP car -xvf. First, let me uncar the DB dependent DB1. Okay. So let me take down these commands so that I can document in the. Yes, this has been uncarred. So we will put it to the here commands. So it has been uncarred. Okay, good. So now DB dependent is uncarred. So now you don't need that file, but anyway, we will see. Next thing is uncar the DB independent file, SAP car -xvf So uncar this one. So let me put it over here. Take the command and let's do that. So it is uncarring. Let's document in our listing also. Okay. Yes, this file is of 350 MB. It took a little bit of time. So total 743 files has been extracted. That is good. Let's do ls minus LTR. So now you don't want these SAR files. Okay, unnecessary space waste. See, 374 MB, 3 to 20 MB, but you don't need them. So what you do is, so be careful whenever you are deleting, don't give star and those options. So take by file. Okay, remove RM means remove, minus R means recursively. If it is a folder, it will recursively minus R, delete it, and F means forcibly. Okay, RM minus RF. I want to get rid of this also. So now let's do this thing. So now you have the kernel files for this system in a directory pwd, new kernel. Perfect. Let's have this one. Now let's go to our executable directory. What is the next step? So the next step is copy it to the server and let me uncar them. So now the next step would be stop the system. Okay, the next step would be stop the system. So before you take the existing kernel backup, so please ensure that you stop the system. So let's do that. Let's stop the system. Okay, SAP control -nr. Okay, 00. It's an instance number for this system. So minus function. Okay, so stop system. Okay, so unknown method stop system. Yes, see, this is the problem. So what I did, so the yes has to be capital. Okay, so now I have stopped the system. Let me take this one. So let me take and keep it over here. Document, stop this system. Okay, so I have stopped this system. Or if you want, but ensure that the system is stopped. So how do you check that? Minus function. Okay, get process list. Get system process list. Okay, get system process list.
I think get process list one.
Yeah. Get, or you can give any help and get this syntax. Okay, so now my whole system has been stopped. Clear? So, perfect. But like I am doing, you always practice these commands. Okay, I know these are lengthy ones. As I told you, typing even the database SQL commands or these commands, I know it takes 1 or 2 minutes to correct it, but you practice them because it's going to be your day-to-day life. During an outage or somewhere, you can't go here and there and copy paste. But during planned activities, definitely you can keep it in your preparation. I mean, preparation steps you can do because you want to save the time over there. But if you're doing an unplanned, I mean, just like that, normally checking something, you always practice typing these commands. But during the planned activities, the important thing is saving the time. So that time you don't want to go and do all this executing and all. So you copy paste it, tuck. They give you from implementation plan. So that's why I told you every activity you have to prepare very well. These are all steps you could have documented before only. So during the activity, in that half an hour window, execute command by command and close the activity. That's it. Or else unnecessarily you lose time. Okay. So now because it's training purpose, we are doing one by one. So the system has been stopped completely. Now the next step would be, so stop the services, everything has been included, all good. So back up the current kernel. So what is the current kernel? So do one thing, see the exe, okay, pwd. Okay, this is your current kernel directory. So let's take the current kernel. So, okay, this is your current kernel. So let's do an ls minus ltr and see. Okay, fine. Files are there. Just go one directory back. pwd. So in exe directory. So yeah. So you have an SAP MNT and also go to cd uc. So this one Unicode. U for Unicode, non for Unicode, but we don't have any non-Unicode here. So go to this directory. Yes, pwd. So take this one and ls minus ltr. So you have to go to this particular directory. So let me put over here. So take a backup of the kernel. So kernel is nothing but your Linux underscore 8664 bit one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is cp minus pr. Okay, to underscore old. cp minus pr. Here we are not moving anything. Okay, let's do this. So it is copying. So there could be some 700 or 800 files. Let it copy. So now, so we have stopped the system because before taking kernel backup, always stop the system. That's the best practice. So what we did now, we took the pwd. Let me take the entire thing. We took a backup, so we don't need this. So let me put over here. Okay, perfect. So you see, so I've taken the backup from Linux 86 to Linux 86 old. Okay, so let me put it in the board. Good. Now you have taken the backup. So just do an ls minus ltr. So you have the one and you have a backup copy. So let's do a cd. Okay, take the directory. So this is the kernel directory and these are the files you want to replace. So do pwd. So what I'm going to do is now replacing the kernel. Next step. Let's document this step. Replace the kernel. Okay, clear? Replace the kernel. Okay, to this directory. Okay, Linux 8664. And from our new kernel, where is the path for our new kernel? cd /usr/sap. Okay, eh8. Okay, /new. So just do this one. So here you have the latest kernel. Okay. Okay, pwd. So you copy the kernel from this directory. So let's prepare the command. So cp minus pr, copy the kernel from source, okay, to this directory. Okay, you see there should be a source slash star everything. So what okay, to this directory. So this is the command format. So let me do a notepad here before I execute. I will show you. So always good to use the notepad. Let's see the command proper or not. So cp minus pr. So p means with permissions. R means recursively, means everything. Even though if there is a directory, right? If you don't give this R, if in this folder, if there is a directory, it won't copy all the files in the directory. It just copy only the directory name. So always give the R. So usr SAP eh8 new kernel. So in this folder, all files 2. So there should be a space. I mean, 1 second. So space. So which means you are copying from source. This is the source to the target. Target is our existing kernel directory. So SAP MNT eh8 exe. This is directory. So let's do this command. So we are just replacing the current kernel with the new kernel. Okay, we know the 801 patch. You have taken the screenshot of the current kernel, right? When we have executed it. Okay, let me see in the document if I have placed it. Yeah, I have to give this plus work. Okay, 801 patch level. And I have also shown you in the system also. But now the system is down. You cannot check. Or let's see if the disk plus work or not. Disk plus work. This is to check the kernel version at the operating system level. Yeah, it is working. So before you replace it, just try to take the screenshot. So you are with the 753 release, okay, kernel release is 753, okay, and you are on a patch level of 801. So let's take this one. So take this screenshot. Okay, let me put it to the, let me delete it. So before replacing the kernel, take the disk plus work. I mean, check the kernel. That is, or you can take it from the system level itself. Okay, let's do that. We did now. So that after the kernel upgrade, we see if the, okay, so good. Now let's do the kernel switch. So old kernel to the, sorry, new kernel to the old kernel. Let's do this. So CP minus PR, and then we are copying from this source to the target, this one. Okay, it runs for some time because it merges some files. And see, do not create another new Linux directory and you keep it. You always do this way only. You merge with the existing. Okay, there could be, okay, I will tell you what I mean. So do not completely rename this Linux directory and create a new directory and place these new files. No, don't do that. So you always merge, because there could be some third-party executables which your customer could have placed. Okay, so if you create a new directory and replace it with the, you place only the new one, then you may lose the third-party executables. So that's why you always copy the new files to this directory. Don't touch anything. So which means now you have moved all your new files to this directory. Okay, so now let's see this plus work. Okay, can you see this, guys? Now we are at the patch levels 832. Okay, yes or no? So we replace the new kernel. So we are at 753. Okay, disk plus work. If you see, this is the difference. Earlier we are on the 801. Let me put it together. This screenshot and the other screenshot. Then you can make. So earlier we are with the patch number 801. Now we are with the patch 832, which means we are upgrading from 31 levels up, 801 to 832. Okay, good. So your kernel switch has happened successfully. Okay, what is the next step we have to do? Next step is simply start the system, restart the system. Okay, any questions, guys, up to now?
No, not yet.
No.
Clear, right?
No,
Yeah.
yes.
Kernel upgrade. So now the next important thing is to bring up the system. If your system comes up, that is the absolutely good. If it doesn't come up, don't worry, we will revert the change. Okay, we will just use the old files and we'll bring up the system. Okay, let us try if the system comes up or not. Let me start the system. SAP control minus NR. So instance number is 00 minus function. Okay, start system. Okay, perfect. So now let's monitor the system. Watch minus D. Okay, so let's do copy here minus function. Okay, so get process list. Okay, so see, yeah, you see the behavior. Please pay attention, guys. I told you when I was explaining, it will do SAP CPE. Yeah, now the status changed. CPE means from the global directory to the local directory, it will copy. Whenever you start the system, the kernel gets copied from global directory, USR SAP EXE to the all local instances. Suppose if you have 10 application servers, this start system, could have copied the kernel to all the servers. So you don't have to do anything manual. You got it? So you don't have to do the kernel upgrade on each application server. Did you get this point, guys? Hello?
Yes, yes.
So what I'm trying to say is, since you are doing on a CI, you have replaced the kernel in one place. So, and then you started the system from the CI. Okay. So there is, whenever the system is starting, it has a function SAP CPE. It copies the kernel from this global directory to everywhere. Okay, I mean to all the application servers. So that is why always, don't go with that rolling kernel up patch and all those things. So nobody does it, forget about it, it's just theoretical. So this is how you do the kernel, sorry, this screen gone. Yeah, so this is how you do the kernel upgrade. So now what happened? Now the system is up and running fine. Okay, so very good. So we are with the new kernel. So IDIS plus work, dispatcher is working. So IGS is running, gateway is running. So ICMan is running. So now let's do this one. Okay, and so once you complete your activity, okay, what are the before you release to the end user, what are the things you have to do? Do you directly release the system to the customer?
Check the kernel version in R3.
Yes. So one thing from operating system level, we have checked it. Yeah, this is gone. Now let's try to log into the EH8 system. So first thing is, fine, you have seen at operating system level, system is up. But go to the system. And log in and check some health checks. Okay, don't just blindly, after any activity, you have to make some best practices. Okay, you should monitor the system for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so see, it is taking time. Let's see why it is taking time. Or maybe it's just with new kernel, so it just took some time. But after that, the caches will get built and it will be faster. Don't worry. Okay, that is why immediately don't release the system. You do the health checks. Okay, so let's do the health checks. See, you will see a performance degradation, but that's all right. I mean, because it's a very poor system, so it is not able to build the caches as quickly as possible. That's all right. So in this case, it's okay. But for customer systems, this is generally as soon as you start it within minutes, within fraction of seconds, you may feel milliseconds of delay, but it will catch up as soon as the caches and executables are built. Okay, because we change the executables, entire kernel, the way the system operates. So it just takes time. So let's go to the system status. Okay. Yes. So now let's go here. Yeah, you see the new patch 832. Perfect. Then we have done successfully the kernel upgrade in the system. So what you have to do is, to be safer side, just execute sick. Okay, some health checks before you see no errors reported. So because whenever you touch some executables or when you do a system copy or build a system, always do this thing. Okay, if there are any errors reported, so most common error after you build the kernel upgrade, right? So your system might be up, okay, but have you ever noticed any error in the SIG transaction? Have you guys executed any one of you? Never in your systems? Okay. So in a kernel upgrade, so the common error, sometimes if the kernel mismatch or something, yes, the system may come up, you will be able to log in, but when you execute the SIG, right, SICK transaction, system health check, so it is nothing but SAP initial consistency check. Whenever you touch some executable on the server, you always come here and then run the SIG transaction code. Okay, SICK. So definitely sometimes the kernel's files are corrupted, or if the kernel is mismatching, so there will be an option like Rabax error, RABX, Rabax. Okay, you can Google it. Rabax error, it comes here. So which means even though you're able to log in, but definitely the system is not consistent. Okay, definitely there is a problem with your what we call with the kernel. So what you have to do, so since you have not released the system to the end user, so immediately you stop the system, you revert the kernel, follow the remediation plan. Okay, suppose if you have another 1 hour of downtime window, okay, you try to check what was the problem. So what is the problem? Where do you check it? So again, you go to the logs. I mean, displus work or displus these things. So there they will give you a hint. So what exactly the problem? Or you just download, I mean, check the files which you have downloaded. Whether you have downloaded or some, it could be a reason that, so as I told you, all of you may not have a service marketplace access. Okay. Your customer could have downloaded, instead of Sybase database, he could have downloaded database 2 files. Okay. There could be a problem. So immediately you check the files. I mean, oh, this is not the correct ones, and get the right version of the kernels and then switch it, provided if you have time. If you are still in the downtime window. If not, you revert the change immediately. You stop the system, change the kernel to the old kernel, and then you release the system to the customer. Okay. So it is not only safe. So you just go and do some SM21 also. I mean, in the last 1 hour, or I mean, we know that immediately, just now we have up the system. So just check if there are any abnormal issues. Okay. See, it's compiling. That's all right, because new executable, and moreover, the SGen could have been running the system. I don't think SGen is run. Okay. So yeah, in this time, if you see any connection failures or these things, but overall, I mean, we are able to log into the system. It could be right. When we stop the system, it could have started throwing errors like unable to connect to the database. And then you also go to the ST22, check if today there are 0 runtime errors, which means, so mostly if kernel messes up, it also triggers runtime errors. Okay, these are dumps. Okay, if kernel is not working properly. So overall, now you got the first glimpse of how the system is working. So let's go and check if the work process also picked up rightly. Since you have changed it, so you need to see, yeah, waiting. A lot of them are waiting. Okay, which is also a good thing. SM66. So these basic health checks you need to do whenever you are releasing your system to any customer, or you also check SM12. So these are the monitoring steps which I have given you. So 000 star, and we are just checking if we have any logs or we have. Let's see. Yeah, there are no, and sometimes updates may fail. Okay, I've not seen these problems, but it could be. So the server kernel change could lead to many things. So, but I always recommend you to execute as many as possible transaction codes. Suppose if you have another 30 minutes of downtime window, do not rush to release the system. Okay. For example, if your customer has approved a 1 hour downtime window, you try to do as many checks as possible. Okay. And before taking down the system also, so sometimes you may get confusion. Oh, these things are failing before kernel or after kernel. So that is why after any activity, it is not only kernel upgrade. Before you proceed with any such activities, take some screenshots before, spend some preparation, half an hour or 1 hour before, and see the status of the system. I mean, execute the system and take some screenshots that suppose if there is a job failures or anything happening before the activity, then you can prove that, hey, you know, so-and-so thing was not running before kernel upgrade also. It is not running now also, then it could be a different issue. You understand? So even though it looks a very simple activity, but in production, it has a very, very importance. And you have to take before screenshots and after screenshots also, these health checks. Okay. So it's not only SM12 or SM13. Or SM13, we just check no update records found. And then you just check the ST02. I mean, ST02, let's see. Yes. So you see program, all good. So you remember when we ran the other day, so it was having too many swaps and too many bugs. So I think this kernel upgrade has fixed those problems. Or it could be just that we restarted the system. So, I mean, the what we call the swap has not been occupied. None of these things are reporting red. So it could be that the kernel upgrade has fixed some bugs. Okay, the way it allocates memory or the way it uses the memory. So one important thing, if you guys notice, so earlier we were having 99% of hit ratio. Okay, now we have 65% or some are 15. So program is 48 only. That day also we noticed. But the CUI and all are not 90. They were above 99. I mean 99 or 96, 99 or 98. So what could be the reason, guys? Can anybody explain? So why this one has become like this? what could be the reason the hit ratio is less now? So what is the hit ratio?
Might be attempt are less. So
Yes. So hit ratio is nothing but if you try to access something, so you see program is improving. Just before it was 48, now it is 50. So it is like number of times when you try to access something, if you are 99% successful, which is the more hit ratio, the percent, the better it is, which means you are trying to reach the program or execute it very quickly. So which means out of 100, only one times, if it is a 99% hit ratio, means out of 100 hits, only one hit failed. So 99 were on target, and 99% of the times it was able to deliver you the required information what you need. So since we've changed the kernel and we just restarted the system, this hit ratio will take time to build, okay, or the caches to build. So initially, whenever you take a restart of the system, it will be less for some time, okay? So the values will be lesser, but after users logs in and try to access these programs and all, so slowly the caches gets built, because when you restart the system, the memory or the swap memory has got cleaned, okay? Cache got cleaned. So which means that cache has to be built. So I mean, so your queries will run faster if you have the data in the memory, okay? So or else it has to go and search for it and build it and give it to you. So that is why. So initially we have a less number, but it will slowly build up. So this is what are things you have to monitor. That is why I ask you to come here and you check these things. Oh, what is my hit ratio? So if hit ratio is very slow, very low, the end users may get, may feel bad about it, because they may have a performance impact. They say that, oh, the system is behaving slowly after kernel upgrade. So what you have to do is wait. I mean, if you have 1 hour of downtime window, you come and keep executing transactions in the system so that you are giving a chance for the system to build the caches. But anyway, even end users logs in also, it happens. But the thing is, they will feel the heat. I mean, they will feel the slowness. So before that, you try to execute certain things. Okay, how my programs are running, how these things are running. Okay, so now it will slowly ST02. Let's see if it has improved a little bit. Yeah, now you see program 53. I don't know if it is improved or not. 50, earlier 50, right? 50 to 53. So now, so slowly these things. But what is the good part? All your swaps. So this one, swaps, all are 0. So which means the defined memory is more than sufficient for the system to run. Okay, so which means the system is running absolutely fine, and we should see a good improvement in the performance also in the system now. Okay, this is an important thing. So let's go and see the ST06. Okay, so EH8 system. So let's see. So memory. So all looks good. So memory, physical, free memory, you have around 69 free memory. Free swap size, you have free swap. Configured swap size is 30. All swaps are free, which means none of these swaps are being used. So which means the system is running very good. So free memory percentage, it has 78% of the free memory. So there is no page in or page out from the RAM. Okay, this always has to be 0 zeros. Okay, the last 4 parameters. If the lesser it is, the better it will be the performance. So overall, now you got a clear understanding that the system is good and in the right shape. We start with a very interesting topic, Fiori. Okay, I'll try to make it interesting, and then I also show you a lot of T codes over there, and that Fiori configuration is very, very important for you guys. Okay, because all the systems which are building now, I mean, whatever is coming up, so it needs Fiori. Okay, so SAP Fiori, before we jump to that, do you have any questions, guys, on this topic?
Actually, our current project, like we are using Oracle and Solaris and Solaris Spark in support. So we run after softling that new kernel. So we soft link that new kernel. So after that we run with a root ID. So some permission files need to be executed. So because in Linux you have not run those, because first I need to know what is the SAP root and Aura root.sh.
Yes. So here I documented here. Can you see in my screen in the comments? Okay. So let me put this one, which we did not do.
Okay. Is that mandatory?
Yes. Okay. So you always run this particular file. Okay.
Right.
So it is.
But we run through root, right? Bash.
Yes.
We run root.
Yep. It has to be run with root user.
So what is this two files?
Yeah.
What is this two files? Like, what is the purpose?
No, these are not two files, only one file. Okay, I just put two systems. This one. Oh, sorry. Delete it. Let me delete it. Okay, just one file. So, I mean, two systems command, I copied it. Where is this one? So, where go? So, both are same commands. Okay, don't worry. You understand? So, I copied twice. So, it's just that you have to execute this root.sh in the system. So, the reason is we missed it. Good point, Naveen. So, we forgot to execute it, but it is not mandatory. So, you see what that root.sh will do is, let's see, ls minus mtr. SAP star root. Okay, you see this file? So what it will do is, it will set the right permissions for this executable now. That is why you see the most files are with EH8ADM right here. Okay, that is why you run this with root user. The reason is root user has a powerful authorization, so it will set the permissions for all these files. Okay, or else you have to go and manually set this. See, for example, now it could be like more authorizations are available. Okay, so now let's run this. No, you can't run like this. pwd.
No, we need to go to the root.
Yes, exit from this one. cd. Go to this one. Okay, so /SAP root.sh. Okay, so EH8 system. Okay, so EH8 system. Okay, so what it is going to do is, it will set the right permissions and this ICM bind, set user ID, bitcode, and there are some securities, so that these files won't be randomly copied or randomly do. It will set the right permissions to the system in the kernels. Okay, that is very important.
Okay,
this we have to run. Okay, so it may not be visible for us. See, you see ICM BND. There is a file created over here. So it will set some permissions which might not, because we have some 1,000+ files. It set the right permissions. Okay, to them. So it is recommended to run it in a kernel upgrade. Okay, I will update the document also. I have the step, but somehow we missed it. But it is mandatory. I mean, it is always a best practice. It's not mandatory, because you may say that your system came up and why you say mandatory. Okay, but it's a good practice. So that ICM bind you have to do. Okay, so before restarting the system, you do root.sh, run. So whether you do run SAP root.sh, whether you do soft link or whatever it is, Naveen, whatever method you use. So at the end of the day, you are replacing the old kernel with new kernel. You got it right?
Yeah. Got it.
Whatever methods you guys use it, but at the end of the day, you do the same thing. Okay. All of good. So fine. I mean, the kernel upgrade, it's worth spending time. I mean, that 1 hour, and we cleanly we've seen, and we did the upgrade and we brought up the system. So which you may do in future also. I mean, many systems, they may ask you to do it, and you always follow the same process, what I've explained. Okay. So now we go with the next important topic for the today's agenda, SAP Fiori. Okay. So, okay, good. I mean, the heading is, it says kernel upgrade. So don't worry. It's a subheading is SAP Fiori. I will edit it later. Okay. So can anybody tell me, have you come across the Fiori screens? Have you seen? Have you ever seen the Fiori screen, how user interface, how it looks? Or you have not seen it all?
No, Nishant, I have not seen.
Okay. So it is important. Please pay attention. So Fiori Launchpad. Just type Fiori Launchpad. Okay. So experience.sap.com, Fiori design. This one you can responsiveness intro. Okay. So this Fiori.sap.com or experience.Fiori Launchpad. Just type Fiori Launchpad in Google. You will find a lot of information. So you see the screen here. Can you see? Whenever a user logs into this Fiori, it is basically a user interface. Okay. So, I mean, just try to get the feel of what it is. Then we will go and talk about architecture and how it works and stuff. So you see this guy, there is a photo of this guy here. So he logs in with his user. And as soon as he logs in, he can see his My Home. Okay. So this button, home. So My Home, he can see the tiles. These are called tiles. My sales overview, my inbox, my timesheet, lunch menu. So his manage sales, or this home button, home will contain the tiles. Okay. So like as soon as you go to your mobile, right, you find the application. Okay. Icons. So Gmail, Google Drive, or some will come with Android by default, Apple OS, App Store. So those tiles like that in a web-based browser, these are called tiles. That is the correct word, TILES, tiles. So each user, based on his authentication or the level of activities he can do in the system, he has his own page, home page. So these tiles, like sales overview, is because this guy is a sales guy, they will give only sales tiles are allocated for him. Suppose if he is into procurement, he can see only the procurement tiles. Okay. So, which means he doesn't have to log into the SAP system. Okay. Earlier, it's a tedious process for the sales or procurement guys to go into the SAP system and execute those transaction codes. It's, you and me are like basis guys, so we have to do it. There is no other way. But for those guys, they are not technical. So it is very difficult for them to execute those transactions and update it. But people are doing in the past. So to avoid that or to make it simpler interface or too easy for everybody, so SAP had come up with a concept called Fiori. Okay. So, and then the roles are assigned to the individuals as per their roles and responsibilities, authorizations, Fiori roles, it is Fiori roles are nothing but USR 01, SU01 only we are talking, whatever the roles we are assigning. So don't think that there are separate roles or something. No, there will be Fiori roles which will be allocated to that user. So once those roles are allocated, the user, as soon as he launches the system, his URL. So it's just that he has to bookmark this URL. So he can log in. I mean, not this URL. For each system, they will give one URL. He can go to the system and he can execute his task. So his timesheet. And it's not only the company related, business related, his personal things also, because the role has been allocated for him. So based on his roles and authorizations, he will find the tiles over here, and then he can work easily so that he don't have to go to the SAP system. For example, when he click on the manage sales orders, so this sales order tile, okay, or track sales order tile. So where does this tile go and picks in the data? Because at the end of the thing, the whole objective is when he clicks on these tiles, track sales orders, so it has to go and get the data from the SAP system, right? Backend system. So this has to go to the backend system responsible, whether it is an ERP or BW or whatever is the system, but it has to go to that system and get the data. Okay. So the important part is, so you may not have to worry about how these tiles are configured. That is the development part. But it is important that when he clicks on this tile, it has to pick the data from the backend system. But the backend configuration, or so that these tiles works or this Fiori Launchpad works for the end users, that configuration is in basis code. Okay, this is very important. How these tiles, okay, work and how you can integrate these things with the backend system, which is ERP or SRM or whatever is the system. Hope you got some context now. Okay, so it is like a user interface, easy user interface. Instead of executing transaction codes in the system, he can simply access an URL. He can find his roles and responsibilities over here, so that he can execute his tasks. But one time you have to configure from the SAP system backend system to do this. Once you configure it, so this will be able to produce all the data available. Okay, now now you got the context. What is this Fiori? Okay, now let's go through the actual diagrams. So, and we go through some of the definitions also. Okay, so SAP Fiori. So let's see. First let me explain you the diagram here. So the layers, then we can connect easily. So because it's important that before we go with the actual steps we execute, architecture is very important for you to understand. So let's say here you have any DB or HANA. Database part, we don't do anything, forget about it. Okay. And then SAP Business Suite, which means Business Suite applications, or SAP ERP, or SRM, CRM, or whatever it is. And then you have an SAP Gateway. Okay. And then SAP Mobile Platform, forget about this mobile platform. It has nothing to do with these things. And you have end users, SAP Fiori client mobile apps or web-based, a web browser. That's what I've shown you. Web browser or mobiles or anywhere people try to access, but it has to communicate to the backend business suite system and fetch the data. That is the objective. Let's do this one. So the first important thing is why Fiori? Okay. So SAP Fiori is a collection of apps. First, let's see that represent the new SAP user experience paradigm. Okay. SAP Fiori offers various business roles, a simple, easy to use experience for SAP software functions that works on desktop, tablet, or smartphone. Okay. So far, we are executing only on the SAP system on the Windows machine, right? So, but SAP wants to take it to the mobiles, tablets, or anywhere. Okay. Suppose if a sales order has to be approved by the manager, earlier he has to log into the SAP GUI and then approve it. So now he can approve from mobile also. So that is what SAP Fiori is, a collection of apps. So are the tiles which you have seen over there, right? Apps like in your Apple phone or Android phone, you see the apps, same collection of apps that represent the new SAP user experience paradigm. So means SAP is trying to take the approach the way these mobile phones or the tablets have. So tabs or mobile phones have the applications, right? Same way, sales orders, it will create an app. Procurement, it will create an app. Okay. So try to connect, guys. It's important. And then time sheets or filling your labor work hours and things, you create one app like that. So it is a collection of apps. Each functionality, SAP is trying to create an app. Okay. Whenever he logs into that Fiori URL, based on the apps, whatever he has the access, he will be able to see it. Okay. The whole objective of SAP is doing this is to improve the end user experience. Okay. So SAP's the biggest problem is, many people or users complain is, your user interface is not so good. Okay. For example, like Android or Apple, it has a very good user interface. The moment you launch the phone, you see beautiful apps and things. But if you see SAP, it's been 10, 11 years, the moment I log into the SAP GUI, same thing. Okay. It's very boring, and sometimes it is those buttons also very tricky to catch. Okay. I think you also might have find it. So imagine an end user or a guy who is a clerk who is sitting in a factory. He is a daily worker, and do you think he understands all these things? It's very complicated. So that is why SAP has understood the problem from the end users. Now they are trying to make it as simple as possible so that they launch that URL and then click on what they want to do. Okay, good. Now you got it, the objective. SAP Fiori offers role-based apps for the most common business functions, providing enhanced user productivity and personalization for customers using SAP Business Suite on any database and SAP Business Suite powered by the SAP HANA. Okay, so which means, so it creates a role-based apps, which, as I told you, a sales guy can access only sales-related apps, okay, or the sales-related tiles. Okay, in SAP's terminology, they don't call as apps. It's a tiles. I've shown you those tiles. So tiles he can access. Only the procurement guy can access only procurement. If you are a basis guy, you can access only the basis related tiles, like that. So based on the functionality, they will access. So it's a role based. So whatever the roles assigned for that user, so then only he will assign. Okay, then only those tiles only he will be able to access. These apps speak a consistent design language and make use of a common technical infrastructure. Okay, it uses interactive and attractive UI elements and provides a consistent end-to-end user experience across all device types without creating additional implementation effect. Okay, so the whole objective of SAP doing this is to ensure that whether you access from your SAP laptop where your SAP GUI is installed, or where your tablet, or your mobile, or from wherever, irrespective of the device, you will get the clear same feel and look of the app. Okay, so that is what they want to simplify. Okay, so that you get same user experience wherever you log in. Okay, so and attractive as well. So as I said, it's very boring if you log into the SAP GUI. As I told you, same blue screen and then same tiles, same buttons here and there. So and it's messy to suppose if there are old people. So not in India. India is, we have an young population. But if you go to the Germany, Europe, I don't know if you guys have traveled and seen working. You should know in your TCS also from foreign people. At least they are 45 plus, 40 plus or 45 people, 45 plus years. Okay. I'll tell you, in one of the customers' location, when I went, the biggest complaint there, I went with my sales guy. As a technical representative, I went. So the biggest problem, what they were telling, you will not believe, I was surprised. So it's not about SAP application run, or it's not about SAP performance. It's not about anything. So what they're complaining is, see these tiles, here at least this descriptions. So this again with the latest SAP GUI has come up with this kind of descriptions. So if you go and see still this one, you still see a, where is our GUI? SAP logon. You still see those buttons. So let's see this one. So that is a web UI. If I try to open this one, come on, launch. Okay. EST user 1, welcome 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. Forgot my password. Let's do this thing. 000. Let's try. I remember it. Yeah. So the complaint for the people is, these buttons, so small buttons, and you keep so small that for the people who are aged, they are not able to see these things. Okay. By mistake, if he deletes a delete button also, there will be a small button. Okay. So like a trash bin. So by mistake, if we delete it, or by mistake, if we think of something else and click on it, it is causing a lot of problem for them. So that is their complaint. Many customers, not only one customer, so many customers have given this feedback. You SAP, fine, your screens are absolutely fine. Your system is running absolutely good. But what about the user interface? What are these buttons? I have to keep my button, and every time I have to do an activity, I have to understand it. Okay. So, and after 1 month, if I go for a break and come, and then again I forget it. So this is very, very irritating feedback. Okay. For any product supplier to get a feedback. Okay, what the complaint is, your system is absolutely good, but your interface, user interface is horrible. Okay, that's the feedback SAP has received from many customers. So, but then SAP had to work on something, right? So SAP started working on this Fiori. Okay, so now it is easy for all those you guys, based on their roles and responsibilities. It is simple. For that user, assign the SU01 roles. Okay, create the Fiori roles and assign them. So give them a URL. Simple. Boss, you don't need to log into the SAP system at all. With your single sign-on, you log in with this one, and then you do your tasks. Now the thing is, they have to click on their respective tiles. My notes, my appointments, my tasks, or purchase, sales, whatever I have explained it. So it is just so easy for them, and moreover, it's a big tile, so it's not like small buttons over there. So it is easy for them and convenient for them for the 40 plus or 30 plus. I mean, it's not that they have an eyesight problem, but still it's a messy. I mean, it needs a lot of concentration in SAP. Obviously, you and me could have felt by now, by the time you logged into the system, you could have realized it, oh God, what is this interface? Okay. Even in ST22, so many buttons, ST06, so many buttons. No, you want it in an easily readable format, right? For an end user perspective. So you need to understand an end user is as dummy. He doesn't know anything about SAP. Okay. That perspective you have to do. So this is a solid feedback SAP has received from many customers. Okay. So that is why they came up with this SAP Fiori. Okay. So number one, what are the characteristics of SAP Fiori? So these are important. I'm reading these and explaining because these are important in the certification. Definitely you will have one or two questions. Okay. That is why I'm going with the theory as it is. So role-based. As I told, it's a role-based authentication. Whatever the roles assigned, you will be able to see only those tiles. Responsive. So Fiori, this is the important thing. Why it is responsive? Fiori apps adapt to all sizes, devices, versions, and channels. This is a very important feature. Why SAP had to go with Fiori. So the beautifulness of this adaptiveness, responsiveness is, let's say you are using a 5-inch screen mobile phone, or you are using one guy is using a 6-inch phone, one guy is using a 10 inches sizes, screen sizes for tablets. So whichever is the device, and irrespective of your screen size, the tiles has to get adjusted automatically. So Fiori, it can do. It's a beautiful way. It can adjust the tile size automatically, and it can fit on any device. It's a web browser. It will display accordingly. It is a very intuitive and very nice and responsive user interface. Okay, that is the simple. So Fiori apps are simple, as I told you. It's just that launch the URL and click on whatever you want to do. So it's just that from there you have to configure the backend configuration. That anyway, Basis guys will take care. So that configuration also you don't do daily. So yearly once, or whenever you build a new system, if you do once those configurations, that's it. So they will be keep on using it until unless something breaks or manually somebody deleted or something. So it's a one-time configuration. So it is a 1-2-1-3 experience. So one user, one scenario. A user has same roles, and one scenario he will only be executed, and 3 screens. He can do multiple things. The same screen can take it to the other screen, or like a dialogue word processing, right? See other dialogue steps. One task can be executed by 3 things, so it can take you up to 3 screens. Okay, it's a very simple. So coherent. Fiori apps provide a coherent user experience with apps that speak the same design language. Okay, so all the apps, whatever developed in the Fiori, same design language. Okay, in the sense all of them are designed in the same format. And what are this design language? So HTML5 or SAP UI5. Okay, this is the technology on which this one has been developed. What is called this Fiori. HTML5 is an open source. It's not open source, it's a very cheap one. But many customers like Linux, many guys, whoever wants to develop web-based application, if you have coding background, so they will develop these web pages on the HTML5. Okay, HTML5, this thing. We will talk in detail of the coding language. It's important to have you have that background as well. So which means all the apps, everything talks to the same common language, and it is easy. And they all feel the same. Integration or the coding becomes easier if everything is on the same platform. So okay, so SAP Fiori apps can be deployed in the following ways. As a collection of apps with single launchpad, I told you this one, Fiori launchpad, the user login, all apps can be available over it. It's a collection of apps, or a multiple web apps which can be consumed from the SAP third-party portals. So if you can develop the third-party portals, it's just that you have to integrate to the system. Through RFC or .NET connectors, I've told you. So it's just that you have to call those programs, and those tiles also can be configured over here. Even the third-party integrations, third-party applications also can be integrated over here because it's developed on an HTML5. So it is easy to do that. So this is the background of the Fiori. Okay. Now the question comes, Okay. Before we get into this, so now you understood what is Fiori, right? It's an end user experience improvement platform so that the customers have easy from all devices, same UI experience, same feel and look and feel of these apps and tiles, everything. Okay.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
So now I ask you one question. Why SAP has gone with Fiori? Okay. Why SAP? Because there are other platforms also where you could have developed these web-based applications. What is the most famous or the common web applications which we use to develop web applications? Java. Java is the most popular, right? When you are developing web designs or coding, so web-based design, Java is the most common language many uses. So why SAP has to skip Java and proceed with this SAP Fiori? Why? Because Fiori is nothing but HTML5 they are doing. Anybody? I've explained in first or where. Why SAP? Because
Because Java is licensed, now it is taken over by Oracle. And Oracle is charging SAP for the same.
Exactly. So this is the marketing stunt. So SAP do not want to encourage anybody. Do not want to encourage Java at all. Okay, they're trying to get rid of it. So the reason is Oracle could not able to compete directly with SAP. So they started procuring these kind of things. .NETs or .NET is not with Oracle, but there are some small things which integrate with SAP programs or like Java. They acquired and they are started exorbitant money to the SAP. If you want to use this Java, you have to pay me so much. So then SAP decided, okay, I don't use your database so slowly now everybody is moving to HANA. Still, there are customers who are using Oracle, but SAP is forcing them, or forcing means they don't tell you directly. But they will force, stating that we may not be able to support you if you are on Oracle. That is how the companies do. So you come out of it slowly and take a HANA. We will give you some offer. Use our database, Sybase or any database, but not Oracle. And same is the case. So they have to find an alternative technology to compete with to develop these applications. So they found HTML5. It's an open source. Not open source, it's very cheap. So they have found this one. And then they started competing. They started developing all their interfaces, user interfaces on this top of it. So tiles, I've shown you. So each user, as soon as he logs in, so he will be able to see these things. Okay. So organized by user role, the SAP Fiori Launchpad is this central entry hub to all Fiori apps. Okay. Like you launch your mobile phone home screen, you will find all the apps. So as soon as you click on the central launchpad, Fiori Launchpad for that user, based on the authorizations and roles, you will see these apps or tiles you call. Okay, so that's good. So further information you can find over at these particular links. So today afternoon I will ask the content team to share you these slides so that you up to date and so that you have all this information. Okay, so you don't need to understand how they developed and all this stuff. This stuff is available over here, these styles and stuff, but it is not relevant for our basis training. Okay. Now, let's get to the most important basis area. Okay. Perfect. So as I told you, fine, this top layer. Okay, let's get to this slide. Okay, good. Top layer, either through browser-based or mobile devices or tablets or whatever is it, excellent. You are launching an URL, launching an app, and you are doing your work. But those apps have to collect the data from where? Backend system. Backend is what? SAP Business Suite, ERP, CRM, SCM, or whatever is the system. So how does these application or those tiles get the data from the backend system? That is the most important thing. So the mediator is the SAP gateway. Okay, earlier they used to call the NetWeaver gateway. Okay, like we have seen in the, let's go to this one. Okay, so earlier SAP gateway, formerly known as SAP NetWeaver, provides a single entry point to access the business data of the various business suite systems. So it's the middle layer. I mean, through SAP gateway, everything comes to the SAP gateway. I mean, the integration of these tiles or the apps happens through SAP gateway to the backend systems. Okay, how we configure that gateway, we will talk. I mean, we have how do we do that configuration? We will discuss. But please understand that SAP gateway is the main mediator in between your SAP Business Suite and these applications. So through gateway, they will fetch the data to the respective backend system. Okay, so the SAP, okay, single entry point to the business source. You see here, single entry point to any. The business data can be shared among multiple environments and platforms. So this SAP Business Suite's business data, any system through gateway, you can share it to the multiple platforms, like mobile device, tablet, or anyway. Okay. In addition, no SAP knowledge is required to consume the data. So the important thing is, so earlier to consume this data, like SOA Manager and these things, web services, you need expertise. But now these end users do not have to understand anything. Okay, you basis guys configure this SAP gateway, and for these apps you define such customizations in the system, business suite system. We will do. That's it. As soon as assigning of the roles is one clear indication. Number two is the making this configuration. How SAP get which server it has to connect, like an RFC SM59. So it's not an SM59, but similar to SM59, you have to define certain configurations and services so that seamlessly all these users, irrespective of their SAP knowledge, they can consume the business data. Okay, for their representation purposes, placing sales orders or analysis purpose or whatever is it, from whichever device. Okay, that is the beautiful architecture which they have come up to improve the user experience. Okay, it's called an user experience. Okay, hope clear. So we have talked about the, so this is the way we are going. We have talked about the user experience from these platforms. And now we just talked about SAP Gateway, which is the mediator between your business suite and these other platforms or other applications. I mean, any devices, so that you get the data. So now we talk about SAP Gateway. Okay. After SAP Gateway, then we slowly go to the SAP Business Suite. What configurations has to be done? Okay. So before we go technical configurations and stuff, we need to understand what is gateway and what are its features. Okay. SAP Gateway characteristics. It's open. Any device, any experience, any platform. That has to be the best you need to have. Okay. As I told you, SAP wants to do anywhere, everywhere, the same user experience. You should be able to see the same thing. Okay. People optimized for user interaction scenarios, timeless, non-disruptive, any business suite version developers, simple APIs, no SAP knowledge, any tool standards based on REST or ATOM or OData. Okay, we'll talk about what are these REST OData. So basically, irrespective of people knowledge, device experience or the platform, SAP Gateway will fetch the data from your, or will provide a facility to integrate any of them with your SAP Business Suite. It's one of the revolutionized topic for SAP. Okay, SAP Gateway is the this whatever currently we have this OData. So it is going to change the entire scenario of the end user experience. Okay, so that initially they struggled, SAP struggled. I mean, the interfaces were not so good, but now they are evolved. I mean, from last 2 years, if you see the interfaces, they're very beautiful, and you will appreciate it for sure. Okay, but anyway, SAP always, even when the NetWeaver came in 2010, same case, many customers complained, what is this NetWeaver? It is so horrible and so small buttons, because that time everything was with Java. I mean, they have a good tie-up with Java. So that time also the interfaces all looked very nice, and people thought, oh, SAP had done a fantastic job. But somehow with this business partnership, Java has gone. Now they're going with the UI5. Again, people have complained. So if this UI5, this Fiori also not good, tiles are not proper, and they're taking a lot of time and all. But in the last 2 years, they have improved a lot. They have invested a lot of money and time on these developers. So these Fiori developers, and they're doing very good. And initially, gateway also, this SAP gateway, also not so good. Okay, intermittently due to network latencies, the connections will break. It's like whenever you click on the tile, it's an app. So imagine when you click an app in your mobile, if it doesn't open, you'll get frustrated, right? Myntra app or Flipkart or Amazon app. Okay, you get frustrated if it doesn't open. So, in Fiori, if you open the tile, so it has to go and communicate to the backend system for the data. If your network is not good, or the mediator is the SAP gateway. See from this diagram, if somebody from mobile tries to access something, so through SAP gateway, it has to go to the business route, right? If your SAP gateway is not good, then gone. The tile won't open and people get frustrated. Okay, so that is why it has improved now. Okay, so now the important few terms you have to understand is SAP Gateway provides the following functionalities. So we are talking about the middle layer, which will integrate your business suite and the apps. Okay. So runtime environment for SAP solutions that integrates desktop programs with SAP systems. That's fine. It provides some runtime environment. Runtime features, including user interfaces, secure data access. That is all important. It's not only about the beauty and look. It is about the security also, because if somebody access your gateway, hack your gateway, that's it. All the data which flows from it or the tiles, they can take out. So it has to be secure. So, and database connectivity, the network communications for managing applications running on top of the framework. So it provides a framework which is stable, which is secure, which communicates the database, which communicates with all the SAP system or the applications. It provides a facility. So infrastructure and tools for developing applications. It also provides a framework to develop the applications. Okay, connection to multiple SAP systems regardless of their versions. Okay, this is an important feature. Let's go back to our previous slide. Okay, you may say that, no, you see why that is important, I'm telling you. Okay, your applications, all of them are here in your mobile or anyway. So SAP backend systems are different release. One is ERP6, EHP1, ERP6.0, EHP2, EHP3, like that, different versions. So irrespective of the backend versions, okay. So the gateway has to have a framework, an open framework or an infrastructure framework, that these applications will go to the respective or coding language or whatever it is. Framework, just try to understand a framework. Whatever, it doesn't matter how they develop or how they do it. It should have a framework. It can support multiple versions or multiple flavors. Okay, ERP, SRM, no matter whatever is the platform, ABAP, Java, or whatever, this should have a framework that accommodate everything. Okay, that's the gateway's key characteristics. Connection to multiple SAP systems regardless of the versions. Okay, now, so let's read about some technical terms. Okay, SAP Gateway offers development and generation tools to create consumption model structures exposed to representational state transfer, REST-based. It's good to have this meaning. REST-based means it's a development terminology. Representational state transfer services via OData. So OData means we are talking about it's the framework or the coding what you have used in the SAP Gateway, right? It's an OData. So Open Data Protocol. So the naming itself tells Open Data Protocol means it will support multiple platforms, multiple versions, irrespective of their version. Okay. By exposing SAP Business Suite functionality as REST-based OData services, SAP Gateway enables SAP applications to share data with a wide range of devices, technologies, and platforms in a way that is easy to understand and consume. Very good. Now let's go back to our previous slide. Good. So what I'm trying to explain, what they did is in terms of the development. So please, guys, even though it's a development, you have to understand. So this SAP Business Suite at the bottom, it is either ABAP or Java, right? some Java systems are there. In this case, SAP ABAP. Earlier, SAP has not exposed this thing. If you want to do something, you do only in ABAP. There's no other way. Okay. What SAP did is they put an SAP gateway, and then they have come up with a technology. It's not their technology, it's open technology. Open data protocol. It's already existing in the market. Open data protocol. What they're trying simply doing is the business data which is available in the ERP system, they are publishing it as an OData service. Okay. So if you publish it as an open data protocol, problem solved. It's a very intelligent way of doing it without without doing anything. So you just take out your data. Whatever your data is done, publish it as a OData. So all these applications can consume this OData. OData is an open data protocol which is widely used in the market. Okay, that is smartly SAP has done. Instead of going with Java or anything, what they did is they did not touch anything in the SAP Business Suite. It is just that they're publishing the business data as an open data protocol. Okay, which means all the applications can consume. Okay, that is the good thing about this architecture. Okay, so this REST is an representational state transfer or OData protocol. Just remember this OData. OData is basically developed in the representational state REST protocol, REST based. Okay, so many of these things, this HTTP or this OData protocols are mainly used by everybody in the market. You see, Twitter, Amazon, Facebook, eBay, YouTube, Yahoo, everyone uses this OData. Okay, open data protocol based architecture. Okay, so what SAP did, they did not reinvented the wheel. Okay, they did not created an entire ecosystem of apps and then created a code, and it's very what they did is they found a very smart way. Okay, already there is an existing platform, open data platform, which is being used by Twitter, eBay, YouTube, Yahoo, everybody. So why should I reinvent the wheel? Reinvent the coding. So it is just that my business data, I will publish it as an open data protocol. That's it, OData. So fine. Everyone in the market or in the mobile or platform, everybody can use. So that is why Twitter, Amazon, everybody can use, and any mobile, any device you can launch, right? You can clean. So it's simple. SAP found a very simple way and to improve their user interface. Okay, that is a very good I would say one of the excellent architectural designs which I've seen in recent times in SAP. Okay, one of the most excellent idea, or we would say an intelligent way of solving a very strong business problem. Okay, your entire 2 lakh or 3 lakhs customers are complaining your user interface is not good. SAP has money. They can spend recruit some 20,000 developers and could have worked on their entire thing. No, what he has done is beautifully, he just found a way. My business data, I will expose as OData. Then through SAP Gateway, anybody can access. So just use the existing open source or the protocols, rest of all the internet service providers or the world is using. Okay, that is the beauty. So, but why I am stressing out this so much is, from now on, all the applications, all the ERP, all the systems which you are coming, you Basis guys have to do a Fiori configuration for sure. Okay, there's no doubt. You will be asked to do. Suppose if your customers are still using the old systems, okay, on Oracle or somewhere, but still believe me, even with Oracle, irrespective of the database, you may have to, the customers will slowly move. It's been already many customers have moved. So slowly you have to configure the this Fiori configuration. That is why you need to understand these concepts. Good. So, fine. So in a nutshell, you have an SAP Business Suite, okay, and you have the applications. So what SAP did, it is just simply publishing its business data as OData services so that everybody can use. So this OData protocol, everybody is using. It's a market, it's freely available. So all the internet providers like Google, Yahoo, everybody using the same. So SAP found a nice way to do that. Okay, good. So that we understood now so far. Excellent. Now let's go to the SAP's OData. So don't worry, I mean, OData is open data, like I told, Linux, right? So you can name your name and you create one separate package or bundle by yourself, and you can name it as a TCS Linux. Okay, I can name it as a Nishant's Linux. But if there are somebody to purchase, so I'm fine to sell it. I mean, like it's so SAP what it did, it's OData. So it has done some minor modifications and bundled it, and it has named it as SAP OData service. Okay, like Solaris Linux, like SUSE Linux, AIX Linux, like that. So they just named it. So in the simple terms, so they just took the based on the industry standards. So offers like data, it doesn't matter. A database like access to the business data. So at the end of the day, REST-based architecture. I told you representational architecture. What is this? This term I don't remember. I always use REST only. Representational state transfer. In case if somebody, if they want to ask you this question, so representational state transfer protocol. It's a standard architecture for any OData. So it uses the standard get, put, post, delete. I mean, read. What does it mean? Get, put, post, delete means read, search, and then delete or update. Post means update. So these in our terminologies, I mean, database terminologies. What it's a developer's terminology. So get, put, post, delete. But our terminology, read, search means read, create, update. If I have to put or delete. Okay. Stateless apps. I mean, those apps have no dependency. Okay. So that is the SAP OData. It's just that they have did some little tweaking of the existing OData protocols. So they just created SAP OData. Okay. Good. Here, one important marketing or the terminology you have to understand. OData protocol. Now we talk about it. OData is an open standard. So why I'm stressing on so much on this OData is when we log into the system, we have to work on those services. Okay, that is why I am, because SAP is publishing its business data as OData services. That's it. One simple way they have solved the problem. OData services. Then on top of it, you develop the apps and you consume my data. That's it. So now, when SAP publishing it as a OData services, that is where Basis guys have to configure. The apps, communication from the apps to the backend system through OData services. That is why I'm stressing it here. Okay. OData is an open standard originally developed by Microsoft. Okay. Now managed by the Oasis organization. So the founder or whoever developed this is the Microsoft. Okay. And it is currently managed by Oasis organization. Okay. It is based on the Atom Publishing and Atom Syndication standards, which I don't know. I mean, what are they? Just for your information. So, which are based on the XML, HTTPS. This I know. I mean, XML and markup languages, extended markup language and HTTPS, which are the most widely used web-based way of accessing things. Okay. The objective of the OData protocol is to provide a vendor-neutral, web-based API that fully complies with the design principle of the REST. REST is also a design principle, which everybody is using to develop their application. So the important thing is vendor neutrality. Okay, what is the vendor neutrality? So again, SAP had hit a jackpot here. Okay, so this has been developed by. That's why this is one of the most intelligent designs which you come across recently for any an organization of level. So SAP, without going for an ego or you can simply say that why should I copy the product which Microsoft has developed, right? So why should I use it? They may get the same problem like with Java, right? So Microsoft also starts charging too much over there, but it's one of the, they thought of this also. Vendor neutrality. What is it, vendor neutrality? So this OData is the common platform everybody is using. Okay, you see all of these companies, some companies, they all agree to some standards. For example, you see all Android mobile phones. Okay, it's Lenovo or Oppo or Google Nexus, any Android phone you take it, all of them have a similar charging port. Clear? In a very easy way, I'm telling. So, in the hardware perspective, clear standard thing port. Yes, Apple is different, guys. Apple, they don't agree for anything what market agrees. But at least a group of companies or the group of industries, they have agreed that, okay, We all will use the same charging port so that any charger, anything can anywhere can work. Okay, that's a standard which they all of them have agreed. Clear, guys? So Apple, they for their own thing, they are using a different Apple charger and all. That's a different story. Now, then later, everybody has agreed in the latest phone USB-C. Okay, the charging port has been changed. All the latest mobiles, whatever are coming to the market, they're all having a different charging port, which is called USB-C. Okay, so that is to make it very simple understanding. Okay, these companies, all of them will agree for certain standards. Okay, the same is applicable in coding also. Or else Microsoft develops something, and then Oracle develops something, Java develops in some way, and then Facebook develops in certain way, and then whatever Twitter develops in certain way. So then all these applications doesn't work on the different platforms or the different mobile devices. Then all of them will go crazy. Okay, we all will go crazy basically. So these applications behave different, each coding different, each interface is different. That's why all of them will sit together and then they will all agree to some certain standards. Like, okay, let's use the USB-C. Let's use this kind of charging. So we all of you have to manufacture the same chargers, same charging port at least. So similar way, the OData, Microsoft has developed it, but Microsoft has released it as an open source or with minimal charges. Okay, minimal. So they don't charge too much with minimal charges, and they would have signed an agreement also. Okay, to all the things. It's a vendor neutral software, and nobody can make money out of it. Money out of it in the sense, no one can make it as a licensed version. Okay, so only thing you may have to pay is to Microsoft or somebody is the royalty, which is very, very less or a minimal. You would say it's a complete open source. Okay, so the problem with Microsoft is they will never make it as an open source. Whatever they develop, they will charge something. That's forget about it. But still, it's an open source, and everyone in the world has agreed. All the internet service providers or app developers or big market players have agreed. Let's follow this OData as the common platform which we all develop so that the integration becomes easy. Okay, that they have all agreed. So SAP hit a jackpot. Why? Because entire this mobile experience in the last 5 years, the mobile experience has been revolutionized. Right. So earlier we were using small devices and only Android. Okay. Now it's like Android, Apple. So then TVs also have come up with some operating system. LG has WebOS. So Samsung has a different OS. I don't remember the name. Samsung has a different OS. Okay. So different operating systems. So it doesn't matter. Everybody can develop their own operating system, but they all follow some standards, XML or REST based or OData based or HTML based development. Okay. See, now you can develop your own AIS, but you will follow this particular standard. Okay, OData standard, which means whatever you develop, your application or gaming applications will communicate with anybody. Okay, so that is where SAP has picked its vendor neutral software, and they are improving their. Okay, where we have moved from here. And then we are talking about the why OData has been picked. So SAP annotate. So this diagram will protocol. So JSON, Atom publishing, Atom syndication, XML, HTTPS. These are the already existing or the open source or the standards vendor neutral agreed programs in the market, which no one can license them. Okay, that's already an agreement between all the companies or the industries. No one could license these things. So SAP hit a jackpot. I mean, in future, it picked up an architecture or the services, open source platform to develop their user interface so that they don't get into a problem like Java. Okay, so somebody acquires Java and then you have to pay license. That is a bad thing. So that is how SAP has revolutionized its user interface thing. Now it's going on very nicely. Now, excellent. So, okay. Any questions before we go with the deployment and the technical aspects of how we configure this thing? Any questions, guys? Please. Okay. So now what we are going to discuss now is, again, I come back to this diagram. So now the most important part, SAP Business Suite or ERP system setup, all of us know. I mean, the standard. So these applications, forget about it. You don't have to do. I mean, web-based applications or whatever it is, either SAP developers will do or customers will do they have their own developers. Okay, forget about it. But the most important thing is getting the data from the system. Yes, OData. And another important thing is have a gateway system or a gateway configuration. So this is what we Basis have to do. So SAP gateway configuration, and then configure this OData services so that the applications can access. That's it, simple term. I mean, if I have to keep it in a simple, configure the SAP gateway and publish the OData. This is the only two tasks which you have to do. Okay. Then the whole interfacing or the communication part you have sorted out. So now let's go to the SAP gateway setup. How do you set up this SAP gateway? That is where we are coming now. Okay. So there are two important ways of SAP gateways communication. Okay. So number one is OData. So the embedded deployment. So embedded deployment is the same system, let's say we have an ERP system. Okay, let's EHJ system. So go to the system status, systems and okay. So let's go to the system. Yeah, let me explain first. So the main component for this gateway deployment is SAP_gateway foundation, GWFND. Okay. So what does it mean? So if you have this component, which means you have an SAP Fiori related or the gateway functionalities of the features available. So which means you can publish your data as OData services so that rest of the world, let's put that way, rest of the world or the apps can consume this data. Simple. Okay. Number one, embedded deployment means you have an ERP system, you just deploy this SAP GWFND. Simple. So which means embedded system, it's a system to apps communication. So this system can act as a gateway system and ERP with a gateway functionality. So the apps can communicate to the system and directly can consume the data. Number one. Or number two. So putting these gateways in this ERP system, I mean, suppose if you have 10 ERP systems, okay, 10 ERP systems. So in each ERP system, installing this SAP Gateway Foundation is going to be time consuming, right? And administration or the maintenance also becomes difficult for you. Okay. Suppose if some service has a problem, you have to log into each ERP system, wherever this component is embedded. So if your landscape has 10 systems, go to each system and then correct that service. 10 times you have to do the same activity, or 10 times you have to install that component. Right? So it is very irritating or time consuming and administration becomes complex. So SAP has again come up with a very nice technology, which they have done with Solution Manager. Okay. Same thing. So you set up one dedicated system for gateway only. Okay. So which is just a NetWeaver plain vanilla system, plain NetWeaver you install. On top of it, you put the SAP GWFND components. Okay. So what you do is you will make it as a central system. So every communication from outside world, okay, apps or mobile or tablets or anywhere, they will first hit the central system. I mean, where your GWFND is there. So from there, the traffic has been redirected to through an RFC connection to the other systems or the satellite systems, ERP or SRM or whatever it is. You got the concept, guys. It's the same like Soulman, how it integrate with other systems and get the data. Similarly, so here the only difference is the end user traffic first hits the central gateway system, and that gateway system divert the traffic through an RFC to the backend systems. So then it fetches the data and publish it to the apps. Clear? Any question? These are the two varieties of deployments. Embedded deployment, same system, directly traffic will come to the system and fetch the data with this. And the second option, you set up a dedicated SAP gateway system and define the RFC connections to the satellite systems. That's it. And all your end user apps traffic comes to the central system, and central system will fetch the data or push the data based on the RFC connections you have defined. So these are the two varieties of configurations you have in this system. I mean, you can deploy this Fiori or gateway systems, gateway configurations. So, I mean, if you just understand one concept, both are fine. In the central hub system also, the only difference is you are doing just an extra RFC connections to the satellite systems you are configuring. Okay, so now we will see. Any questions, guys? This concept is clear. This both, because when we go to the executing the transactions, I don't want you to get confused, and I will clearly tell you in embedded system deployment what you have to do, or I mean the same system if you are using as a gateway system, or if it is a central system, what a central hub thing, what you have to do, how you define the RFC. Okay, any questions? Yes or no, please? No questions? Good.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Then central hub deployment, like so the same component has to be deployed in the source system also, because this OData service SAP gateway foundation, so it will be installed in the satellite system, so it will communicate with the source system, like have a ERP in the source system. So the same component need to be deployed in the source system also.
Yes. So you have to deploy it, or else you don't get that OData functionality. Okay, so you have to deploy in all the source systems. I mean, irrespective of the release or versions. But the deployment is a one-time activity, right, Naveen? Okay, so once you deploy in those systems, that should be fine. But the problem is if you have 10 to 15 systems, so configuring these things in the 10 systems, you understand? So whenever these external guys are configuring the tiles, right, or the apps, the Fiori app, so they have to give individual systems thing. That is a problem for them. You understand? So and the developers have to configure to each system and fetch the data. So instead of that, so if you have a central system, central gateway system, what happens is common URL you give them. You know, your central gateway system is so and so URL. So they will develop everything and connect to that particular thing, all those 100, 200 developers. So then your central gateway system will take care of the connecting to the respective systems. You got it? I will show you, Naveen, when we are when we are configuring it. I will show you how this will work, how we do this configuration. Okay, how the apps will fetch the data from the embedded hub, or how it fetches the data in a remote thing. Okay, we'll see. Now, see, these are the gateway configuration. These are the few important things which we will do, all of them. I mean, I will explain you now in a local case what, I mean, in an embedded case what we do, in a remote case what we do. So let's take our system first thing. So where is this one? Okay, let's go to the system. Log on. First, let's check in our system this component is installed or not. Okay, the first prerequisite. Okay, so the thing is SAP_GWFND. Or let's find it out. So because it will have hundreds of things, SAP_GWFND. Search direction. Yeah, it has displayed one thing. Okay, so you have SAP Gateway Foundation. So you see this one first row, Gateway Foundation. This is what we are talking. And then you need to have the SAP UI also. It's a user interface technology. They all come together. Okay, don't worry. So, but important thing for now time being, you understand SAP GWFND, and which comes along with the SAP UI. Okay, so user interface technology, like so they call it as the same thing. The Fiori apps, what you have seen, right? So if you want to, if a system is being accessed by the Fiori apps, means that system has this UI related. They just renamed it. I told you, SAP OData, whatever it is. So they have user interface technology. They put the name for Fiori. Instead of putting SAP_Fiori, they just put it as SAP_UI, because they're using multiple things, right? You know, HTML based or the REST based or Atoms. So certain open source protocols they're using, forget about it. So they just put it as a user interface technology. So, but the important thing for us is the SAP GWFND. Yes, this system has a release of 750 and 009. Again, so whatever they with SAP, right? So underscore SAP, which is like more or less a basis related. Okay, wherever you see the terms SAP under SAP, right? So most of them are relevant for the basis guys. So SAP Basis, SAP ABA, ABA. So you see F&D also, it is relevant for us. Okay, now let's see. This system has this component, which means all the Fiori related configurations we should be able to execute. Now let's see the slide. Okay, so before I will explain you a few things. The first thing is, number one, define the RFC connections to the satellite systems. Okay, in case it is a central hub, or if you want to connect multiple systems via one particular system. Okay, number one, you have to define the RFC connections to those systems, ERP, CRM, or whatever is the systems which you want to administer from the one central gateway system. Okay, good. Number one, if it is a local, you don't have to do, forget about it. Number two, activate the, so these are the very standard steps, guys. So you can refer to this slide whenever if you have a requirement of configuring this Fiori. Number two, activate SAP gateway. Number three, create system alias, SPRO, create gateway alias, SPRO, activate ICF nodes. These are the simplest way of telling you the Fiori configuration. Simplest and simplest way. Okay. So number one, suppose if a customer asks you to, hey, please configure Fiori, ensure that my system will be able to communicate with the Fiori apps. First thing is, you have to ensure this component is installed or not. SAP GWFND is there in the system or not, number one. Number two, if it is in central hub deployment, architecture you have to ask. It says, you want to connect with any other systems? Yes. Then fine. Create a SM15, it's straightforward. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, we will do now. 5 is names, the services you have to publish. Okay. So that the activate, externally they are accessible. We'll do that. So now, clear guys here, these are the 5 steps which you have to do whenever somebody asks you to do a Fiori configuration in this system. Okay, so let's go with one by one. Okay, so the first one, SPRO. Let's go to the presenter view. Okay, so we are talking about second point, activate SAP gateway, create system alias, create gateway alias. I will tell you what exactly it means. First, let's activate the gateway. So always I tell you, SAP will do second level of authentication or activation. Even though you have installed the component, it will not let you to use until unless you come here and manage it manually. So these sequence of steps, what I'm going to do, are already available here. SPRO, navigate to the SAP NetWeaver, gateway, so and so. Okay, it's difficult to remember this one. So just click on this SAP reference IMG. I just clicked, so let it come. Okay, so what is the next thing? SAP NetWeaver. So I'm just following the sequence. SAP NetWeaver, gateway, OData channel. Okay, SAP NetWeaver. So SAP gateway. Okay. Okay, OData channel. So that's why I spent a lot of time on explaining this one. So how the traffic goes from the business suite application. So if you see our diagram, let's go back again. Because this you will do for sure. Okay, ERP system. In our case, it's an EH8 system, bottom layer. And then SAP gateway, OData channel. So this is what we are activating now. So SAP gateway and OData channel we are activating. Okay. So let's go to the OData, SAP NetWeaver, OData, SAP gateway. Okay. OData channel, configuration. Okay. Activate or deactivate this one. Click on this. So SAP gateway is currently active. Okay. If it is a deactivate, it is asking whether you want to deactivate or not. Now let me deactivate. Let's see. So which means SAP gateway is not active. So which means, so you have stopped, those services or nothing can be usable. Okay. So you have to activate it if it is not active. Generally, if you are doing for the first time, this is not in an active state. So first, for now, let's activate it. Come on. Yeah. So now it says currently deactivated. Let's activate it. So this is the first thing you do. Takes a little bit of time, and moreover our system is super fast express, so we can't help. Let's do. Okay, so that's the first step which we have to do. So activate this SAP Gateway OData. Okay, and then the second step. Let's go to our slide. Second step we did create SAP Gateway, activate. Okay, and then create system alias SPRO. I will explain this once this is activated. Yeah, come on, yeah. We shouldn't have deactivated it. Maybe when it is checking it checks a lot of component dependencies, etc. So deactivation can be easy, but activation is generally takes little time. Come on. Or let's do it from the let's log in again. H8 system. So /n SPRO. So any activations related stuff, it's an execute customizing display IMG, SAP NetWeaver, SAP Gateway. Simple, the basic diagram. It's a very simple concept. OData configuration. Okay, activate or deactivate SAP Gateway. Yeah, it's active. Are you sure you want to active? Though I don't want to do it. Let's close it. It's already active. Okay, just now I think that we would have completed. Good. So it is active. Perfect. So let's go to our slide. So the third step, create system alias, SPRO again. Okay. So what is the path? SPRO, again SAP NetWeaver. So the whole things, whatever we do here is the OData channel only. So which means the public because the channel through which, let me put this one. So the channel through which it goes to the outside is the OData. So first we have activated this OData channel, this middle one, and now we are going to create some aliases over here. Whatever we do, mainly we do in the component we installed already. So we are configuring this OData, and after that we will publish the services. Okay, that is what I'm doing now. So let's do this. Let's go to our this one, SPRO. Navigate to SAP NetWeaver Gateway OData. So let's do again. Let's do from the beginning. SAP NetWeaver, SAP Gateway OData channel, and then connection system. What is the next one? Configuration, connection settings. So SAP NetWeaver to Gateway to SAP system. Okay. So what we are trying. Where is this one? Configuration, connect SAP Gateway to SAP system. So we are trying to connect the SAP Gateway OData channel. So in this OData channel to SAP system. Okay. So manage system aliases. You got it. This is the third step. Okay. Yes. So manage system aliases means, so here this is important again. Whoever has asked this question. So if you say local system alias, it is nothing but easy way of understanding what is this particular alias. I mean another name. You cannot tell that ERP 6.0 EHP8 I am connecting. I am connecting to the SRM 2.0, 3.0. No. So it's an alias. So it's simple a name. It is easy to maintain so that as soon as you define this alias, it will pick all the connection parameters. Okay. So if it is a local, which means you are using the same system as an embedded gateway. Okay. You are consuming the services on the same system. Suppose if you have another system, SRM, CRM, and others, you have to define these aliases here. Okay, with their SIDs or any name, whatever you want to put it, alias name. So here you have to give the RFC destination and the, that's why I told you initially, if you have satellite systems to be configured, central hub configuration, you have to define the RFC connections through which it should connect. Clear? So these are the two things. If it is the same system, you just create local, that should be fine. If it is a third of the other systems you want to connect from this system, central hub, you define those aliases over here. Clear? This means you are trying to, now let's go back to our slide. Where is this central slide? See. So you are trying to define this OData. What are my backend systems? Okay, what is my, so if it is just an EH8 system, in this OData configuration, you just maintain local system, which is EH8, wherever this has been installed. If it has some other systems, here you define those aliases. Alias means calling name, and the RFC connections you maintain, okay, for those systems. So suppose if a request comes from a Facebook, okay, to EH8 system, which is our system, okay, it comes to the OData hub here, the one which we configured just now. So, for that service, that is the second part, where we define the services. So that service will be configured in such a way, the developers will configure in such a way, we can configure, we will define the alias local, okay? So with all the services, all the calls, whichever comes from whichever platform, whenever they hits to that alias, right, okay, so alias of local, all those services will be pointed to the EH8, okay? So all the OData services or all the calls, end user calls, whichever comes to this, once they comes to the OData will establish, the developer, when we publish the service, we will define where that particular service has to go. If it is an MG1 system or an NGK or whatever is other systems, so we define alias over there, and this OData will divert the traffic to that particular system, or it will call the data or read the data from that RFC connection and then get the data and publish it to these applications. Okay, that is what we are doing aliases here. Okay, we are defining the satellite systems in case of central hub, but in case of a normal embedded, we are doing the same system. Okay, so now keep the central hub for the time being aside. Okay, so now hope it is clear now how the OData will differentiate central hub and this one. So, but most of these ERP S/4HANA all will be, SAP has stopped supporting the central hub configuration. Okay, so since they give an option, this option is there, but SAP will strongly recommend people to go with the for the theory purposes or architecture purposes. I'm explaining you this, but SAP will strongly recommend you to go with the embedded hub, which means use the same system for same calls. That's it. You don't use these RFC connections and this. Theoretically, it looks so attractive and interesting that, oh, one system I have centrally, I administer for that. But for the various regions, SAP will strongly recommend to use the same system. If you are calling to the EH8, you define your apps in such a way that OData in such a way that you just deploy these gateway components and you configure to the same system. Don't do this, RFC connections on central hub. Why? Can somebody tell me why SAP is not recommending central hub destination, central hub configurations? What could be the reason? What you can think of? Okay. So
if RFC is not working, then data will not fetch. If RFC is not working,
yes,
then
so, fine, perfect, excellent.
Will not fetch the data.
Exactly. So not working is one case. The chances of RFC not working is very minimal. Until someone messes it, but you have reached to the 50% of the answer. So it's not only RFC not working. So RFC could be slow, latency. So see, when you click on an app on your mobile, So you don't want it to go to some system, and then that system calls some other system, and then it will fetch the data, and then it will display you. So this whole thing will take some 3 to 5 seconds, right? So we may think in SAP terms, 3 to 5 seconds, okay, I can, but day in and day out, you have to do that. It is so frustrating for end user, right? If a guy has to place a sales order, and if he waits for 5 minutes for it to go to the system and place that order, then it will be very frustrating for him, right? He has to place some 100 orders or 1,000 orders in a day. So that is the reason. So the latency you have to think, or the network. So centrally, it looks so fascinating, and nice configuration, cost effective and all. But what about your daily frustration, the end users? It leads to it's a very bad thing. Okay, that is why SAP will tell you do this central hub configuration only in development and testing or sandbox systems. For example, you have 100 development systems. Okay, for the Fiori experience, so their performance is not a matter. There is no end users. So you do one thing, central hub configuration, one system, and you manage that. Okay, so that is the use case, development and test systems. But production, SAP will tell you that don't go with the central hub configuration. Your end users will get frustrated. Forget about your beautiful designs you give. So until if they are not getting the response, or if the tile is not opening quickly, then they get frustrated. So that is not recommended. Hope you got the clear understanding. So central hub configurations generally recommended in the dev and test systems, but not in production. Okay. So I don't think you will get that requirement also, central hub configuration. So at least from last 3 years, I have not seen any request from any customer to configure this. Okay. So we always do with the embedded. Clear? Naveen, do you have any questions on this topic now? So now we will focus only on the central hub, this configuration, embedded, same system. So the tile will be called, and the tile request will come to the OData service. OData will fetch the data from the same system. Okay. Hope now the central hub configuration is clear. I mean, that satellite one, forget about it now. So we will talk only the local. Good. So perfect. Let's get back to this slide. So see, local. Local means it is the same system which we are going to use for the data fetching or whatever it is. And this is the most widely used in the production. So now you have created the third step, system areas. So the fourth one, create gateway areas. Okay. Gateway areas, how do we define that? So this is also more or less looks the same in transaction SAP SPRO. So let's go back. Okay. So what are these steps? SPRO, Gateway Service Enablement, SAP NetWeaver. Let's go back. One second. So we have at the bottom. Let me scroll down a little bit. So you have this SAP Gateway Service Enablement. Okay. So it is like backend OData channel. Let's see. Backend OData channels, right? So connection settings to SAP NetWeaver Gateway. Connection settings. Backend OData channel, connection settings to SAP Gateway. So NetWeaver Gateway is nothing but SAP Gateway. And then where you have to go? SAP Network, create a gateway areas using the system areas you created before. Create a SAP gateway settings. No, not display. So let's do this. Okay. So this again in the remote hub, I mean the central hub configuration, where you have created some aliases, right? MG1 or SRM, CRM, all those systems you have to define over here in the remote configuration. But in local, I don't think you have to do. It's simple. So it will take from the system. Okay, perfect. So that is the gateway areas configuration. So, I mean, in case if you get a request of Fiori configuration, you always refer to this slide. Okay, what I have given, it's a very simple way. So first one, as I said, you don't get request for central hub, don't worry. RFC, if you get it, do this way. So activate SAP gateway, create system alias, and then the last step would be activate the services. That's it. So which is SICF. So activating the services. So SICF, go to the SICF. So 3 simple steps which we have done. So SACF. Okay. So service path, let me give, if you know, default host, execute.
Our comprehensive student metrics ensure top-notch learning experiences. We track engagement through attendance, participation, and video interactions. Performance is measured via quiz scores and assignment submissions. We monitor learning behaviors, including time spent and revisit patterns. Our metrics cover social learning, course completion rates, and even post-course success. With technical data on platform usage and device information, we optimize every aspect of your learning journey.
So this, you could have worked on this SACF transaction, right? Have you ever worked this transaction SACF?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, you can activate, deactivate the services here, web-based services. So if you deactivate it, then your whoever is trying to access that URL, they will not be able to access it. Okay. So here you have to activate default host, SAP, and then OPU. Look for the OPU. Where is the OPU? Yeah. So OPU means see, OData for SAP products. So as I said, the whole thing revolves around OData. That's why I stressed a lot about OData. So OData is an open data protocol. All the platforms, all the applications can use. So these OPU services. Where did it go? Where are you? OPU. Okay, all your services, OData services. Okay, you just have to publish. So publish in the sense activate. It's already active, these services. You mean activate and deactivate. If you deactivate, all these services will be deactivated. You just have to activate when you are doing in the first thing. See, standard mode, namespaces, everything. We don't know what are these services, to be honest. But as a basis guy, you have to activate all of them. Okay, so that all these services are active. And whenever these Fiori tiles or somebody tries to connect, so they configure in such a way that, because these are all standard services, so they configure using these standard services. So they will these tiles will work and fetch the data. Okay. So any questions, guys, on this topic before we further move ahead? And mainly we are going in a troubleshooting mode next. Okay. Is it simple? Understood these concepts? Please say yes or no, guys. I need to understand.
Yes.
Very good. So now we will execute some. So you can go home and you can, after you go home, you can try these transactions at home also, or this SPRO settings also. So you get a feel of these transactions. Okay. So basically, at least SPRO one transaction and then SACF, which you work mainly. So these are the only 2 things which you do for this gateway activation. Okay. So now, maintaining these services. Okay. See, here we have activated the standard definitions. Okay. So standard activations, gateway and aliases, defined instance. Now, the important part is how do you publish these services? Okay. OData services. So the SICF services are different from OData services, guys. Don't get confused. So the ones which activated SICF are the standard services. Even for the web services also we activate them. So, those are some standard services which system uses or end users uses. But OData services are nothing but functionalities, purchase order or sales. Those are the relevant functionalities or the apps you can call. SAP has to publish the business data as apps, right? Or the OData services. So those services we will see now. Okay. So now the next thing is, let's do the IWFND_maintain service. Okay. This is the transaction code. Okay. This is how it looks. These are the functionalities of the app. Let's do. So IWFND_service. So let's execute /n IWFND. These are tricky. You have to execute like this only. So let's see if it works. It doesn't work. See, but because you have to execute very carefully. So /n. So multiple slashes are there. /n/ IWFND slash, okay, main underscore service. You have to execute exactly like this. Then it will take. Okay. So these are nothing but the apps. You call it as an apps. Whatever the tiles you see on the Fiori when the end user logs in, right? So his request will be provided, or the service provided by these ones. Okay. So this one, analysis dashboard. Let's see this one. Okay. Technical service name, service description, or the app description. So you can, in simple terms. So here you have to see. I mean, in this way, it's not configured. So here you have to add the system alias. Okay. So if you these services, if you add system alias as local here, which means this app will be called the data in the same system. Okay. If you define alias as a remote system, I mean, in the previous step we have created MG1 or NG1 or anything. If you define the system alias here from the Fiori app, okay, the request comes by this thing, and then it will understand the alias or which system it has to connect from here. Okay. If the alias is defined as local here, it will fetch the data from the same system. Or if the alias is like NG1 or any other third-party system, then alias means it has an RFC connection and all right. It will connect to the remote system and fetch the data. Clear, guys? This flow you have to understand. Okay. So, or let me show you this one. Where is this Fiori tile? Okay. Let's see this. Good. Suppose in this screen, if this guy, okay, if he clicks on track my sales orders, or let's put manage sales orders. If he clicks on this tile, okay, please focus, pay attention, guys. If he click on these tiles, okay, manage sales orders, what happens? As soon as he click the tile, it comes to the system, it will identify a service, any service. I mean, it will be, there are a lot of services. Don't worry, we don't need to know what service do what. Okay. It will come via service. That is how it would have been designed. Okay. Let's say the sales order comes through this service. Okay. A BEP, MDC, something, whatever service, forget about it. Okay. It will call that service and then it will look for the alias here, which in SPRO we defined that alias. So if it is local here, then it will fetch the data from the same system. Okay. If it is a remote system, it will call to that system through RFC and it will fetch the data. So this is the basic understanding which you should have. Simple. Whatever the theory I've been stressing so far, this is the thing. So if he comes and says, if an end user comes and says, I am not able to access this tile, okay, troubleshooting, manage sales orders, I am not able to access. So what you have to do, first thing, you have to come to the system, or you can ask your functional guy, or functional guy will tell you. I mean, when the end user complains, the first thing is goes to the functional. You know, they will ask them, hey, these tiles are not working. So the functional guy will tell you, hey, please check so-and-so service. You come here and find the service and check for the alias. If it is local, check if it is working or not. I mean, local means definitely it should work. It could be a different reason. Where you check the logs also, I will show you. If it is a remote, then first thing you have to check is the RFC connection. Okay, clear. That's how you have to troubleshoot. We will go to the another one. So this is about the maintenance services. Okay, so you can, but from here itself you can access error logs also if there are any. If the service is not working, let's see if it goes to the transaction code. Yeah, it is going to the same error log transaction code. There is another transaction. So here you find if there is any service, if the end user says that my tile is not working, the first thing is you have to come to this error log and see. Okay, we'll go there. First, let's try to understand the maintain service. Clear, guys? This part you see here. So in this diagram, maintain system aliases, which is local system alias, which means the service is catered by this one. Okay, good. So gateway client is nothing but by default setting, which we would have set it in the SPRO only, we have enabled the gateway, right? So just define that gateway client over there. So error log, you can click on error log. So sorry. So if you click on the error log, or there is a so T code for that. I mean, dedicated T code. I mean, I will show you that. So you see the error log will appear like this. So when you execute IWFND_GW client, but in our case, we don't have any errors. So it will give a clear error. What was the problem or where is the problem? This one. So either you can interpret it or you can pass it to the end users. So the tile will be called by this SAP OPU OData, which we have activated, and the developers will use these standards. Okay. So this is the T code IWFND_error log. So let me show you. Let's execute this. Each T code /n/IWFND. So now we are going to the troubleshooting error log. If an end user complains that he is not able to access the tile, most frequently you get it. First thing is you have to come to the screen. Okay. So definitely there will be errors in this one. Okay. You will be able to see a screen like this. Okay. Let me put it to this one. So you will see a screen like this. Okay. So error log. So you see the description of what was the problem. Okay. This is how, but in our case, we don't have any errors. So it didn't appear. Okay. So the next slide. Clear how you check the errors? You execute the transaction code or IWFND/error log, and then you can see the errors. Okay. So, and one more thing, when you are checking this error log, menu, error log, global configuration. So this one you try to do secure. Okay. Full one is like, it tries to show you all unnecessary things. Don't do that. So always you put it as a secure S, okay, and save it. No, see what happens is if it is a full write, so like SM21, it is always starts tracking everything what is happening in the system. So always you put secure here and then save it. Global setting. I mean, what kind of, I mean, you are interested in only in errors. You are not interested in anything. So it's kind of filtering mechanism. So you always put only secure here, then go back. Configuration is saved. So it's a kind of system build step. So whenever you build it, so you don't make it as a full over here. Okay, that so that you will find only relevant errors, or else you will find all the warnings and successful logs also. That is not recommended. Okay, that is a setting. You always set it to the global configuration. You always set it to the secure. Okay, that is what the slide will tell you. See here. Let me go here, big screen. So global configuration, always set it to the secure. Okay, error log level secure. So if you follow this document in future, just try to reconnect connect it to like this. Okay. So and then the other important part is the fine. So the end user has executed the transaction, but you don't know still there is a problem. This is all troubleshooting, guys. Important. So you face these issues. So if he still complains, okay. So you may have to do a tracing while he is executing the transaction. Okay, IWFND. So let's do the tracing. So what you have to do is you have to tell the end user, hey, now you start executing, then I will trace it. So what you have to do, come here, ask his username, because at the overall, the tile or authorization is given to the user. Ask the username in the SAP system, find the username and put that username, and error log level secure, always put secure, and performance trace, payload trace, enable them. So you see active trace is valid, and ask him to re-trigger the what we call the tile. Ask him to click the tile again. So then you will be able to find all the details over here. In this case, we are not executing any tiles. If you want to enable the trace, you have to do this way. So let me deactivate it. Okay. So this is back. So this is how you execute the trace. So, and then you have in the central hub configuration, you just want to notification monitor. So that also we can see it quickly. So /n IWFND this one slash FID_notify monitor. Okay, so here you see, I mean, how there was remaining in central hub configuration. If there are any notifications, there are any issues, I mean, what is happening with your other things, you will find over here in this one. I mean, if you have multiple systems. Okay, so when using an OData push channel, both monitors display all notifications that are waiting. Okay, or waiting for the RFC connections. Some process error. As somebody said, if the RFC connection is not working, so such kind of issues will be reported over here in central hub. But don't worry, this one we don't use it. Okay, good. So any questions, guys? So today both the topics are very important: kernel upgrade and SAP Fiori configuration. Okay.